Hello everybody and welcome back to another Team Memes Not Meta deck profile. Today we're here with Bryan and we're going to be taking a look at one of his signature decks and one that he has won countless local tournaments with. Bryan, what is that deck?
We are playing Lair Infernoid.
Lair Infernoid, and this is a very, very good deck in my opinion to play against any meta, it seems like. I mean, you've piloted this deck for how long? The past 3 years at this point?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so far, a lot of the meta decks right now are using a lot of graveyard stuff, and this deck not only gets rid of the graveyard very easily, but also can get rid of a lot of those very pesky cards like Dragoon very easily. A lot of the boss monsters that would normally be hard to get rid of, gets rid of them, piece of cake.
Very nice, very nice. Well, let's get right into that deck profile then and see why you've had the success that you've had.
Okay, so first card we have Infernoid Devyaty. So this is the best Infernoid, I'd say, in the deck. He's the one that sets up the play, sets up the combos. Basically, what he does is when he is normal or special summoned, you send an Infernoid from your deck to the graveyard, and he gains its name, effect, and levels. So this allows him to basically be any Infernoid that you need at any point in time, as well as being a tuner if you ever need a easy synchro. We'll see later on what he can do, but that is what he does. Next, we play the one Ahrima. So all the Infernoids must banish another Infernoid from hand or graveyard to summon. This one only requires one to special summon itself, and once per turn, you can target one card on the field to return it to the hand. So very nice to get rid of some cards. All the Infernoids also have an effect to tribute one card and to banish one card in the graveyard, which is why it works very well with Lair. Next, we have Infernoid Onuncu. This one requires one banish Infernoid to summon itself. Can target one card on a one monster on the field to destroy it. Can also target face down monsters, so very nice with that. But cannot attack when it uses this effect. So use it to pop one card. Also, on your opponent's turn, you contribute a monster to discard it. We actually played two of them, and I forgot to bring out the second one. Also play two, but Infernoid patrulea. This one's just like Harmadic, requires one to summon itself. This one does the same thing as Harmadic, except for it destroys a spell and trap on the field instead. Cannot attack. Contribute itself to banish one card in the graveyard. Moving on to the bigger ones. This is Infernoid Seitsemas. So this one requires two to tribute to summon. This one can actually summon itself from the graveyard. Unlike the other ones, they cannot do that. He has 2400 attack. When he declares an attack, you can activate his effect to banish one card from your opponent's extra deck. He can also tribute himself to banish one card in your opponent's graveyard. This effect can be done on either player's turn, though, unlike the other ones, which is only on your opponent's turn. We play two Infernoid Seitsemas. He's probably the bread and butter monster you want to go into. For when he attacks and ends the battle. When you end the battle phase, he attacked and he survives. You can banish one card on the field at the end of the battle phase, non-targeting, allowing you to get rid of some of those pesky cards like Dragoon very easily. Next, we play the one Infernoid atondel. This is used for OTKs. His effect is when he destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, he can make a second attack, allowing you to get a very easy potential, 5600 attack, or life point damage, if you attack a 0 attack point monster. Next, we play two Infernoid Devyaty. These are the this is one of the boss monsters of the deck. Requires 3 banishments to summon from either hand or graveyard. When it is summoned, it can destroy all spells and traps on the field except for Infernoid or Void ones. When an opponent's monster activates an effect, you can tribute one monster in the field to negate and banish it. So this is one of the ones you would use with Devyaty to give him a free negate. You do have to watch out, though. Infernoids cannot be summoned if the total amount of monsters on your field are higher than level 8. Effect monsters, that is. So this one is higher than level 8, meaning you won't be able to summon anything else. Next is Infernoid Onuncu. He's basically the opposite of Devyaty. Requires 3 to summon from hand or graveyard. When summoned, he can destroy all other monsters on the field. So basically a free dark hole. When your opponent activates a spell or trap, you contribute a monster to negate the spell and trap and banish it.
Good card.
A very good card. Can easily get, 3k damage in just by destroying everything else on the field. Hard to get rid of, though, because nothing can really... You can't really link them off with anything if you use that effect. So be careful there. Next we play 3 Ahrimas. So this is basically only used to find Lair of Darkness more. I want to see it more. I could see... I forgot to turn it upside down. You don't have to play this card. Sometimes I could see myself getting rid of it because we play Reasoning and Monster Gate in here, which is sometimes a problem when hitting it, but it's definitely the best thing to find Lair right now since Metaverse and Terraforming are at 1. Next, we play the 3 Gammas, and of course the 1 Driver.
You love drawing the driver, don't you?
Love drawing the Driver. We play this as the only hand trap because it is the only hand trap that cannot be normal summoned or set, meaning Monster Gate and Reasoning do not hit it. So, unlike with Ash and the other ones who can be summoned off of that, you can play these to negate monster effects and only have the risk of summoning the Driver, which honestly isn't even that bad to summon. Onto the spells, we have Void Banishment. So, the spells and traps of the Void, the ones that I'm showing at least, are amazing. They're all really good. You want to see these, and they are game-winning cards, honestly.
Good card.
Very good cards. This one has 2 effects. It is a continuous spell. You play it, you can discard 1 card from your hand to search for any Void card. This is mainly what you go into to find Imagination and Feast, which I'll be showing you next. When you use this effect, though, you cannot summon any other monsters except for Infernoid monsters. Its other effect is that when your Infernoid monster attacks another monster at the damage step, you can banish both of them and send this card to the graveyard. Fun fact, this card can also search for non-Infernoid cards. For instance, it can search for Into the Void. Now it's at 1, so it's not as good, but I used to play that in here.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Next we play, this is not the right one. It is Imagination that was supposed to be next. So this is one of the targets you would go to look for in Banishment. So this card, probably the most broken card right now in Infernoids. This is a better, in my opinion, Shaddoll Fusion. So when this card is played, it's continuous, all Infernoids become level 1, and they do half attack damage when they attack directly. Doesn't sound very good right now, but that's not the reason you play it. When your opponent has a monster summoned from the extra deck on the field, and you do not, you can send this card to the graveyard to summon an Infernoid monster from your extra deck using up to 6 Infernoid monsters from your deck.
Wow.
This allows you to get all the Infernoids you would ever need into the graveyard and summon a very powerful monster, which you will be seeing. And this is not a once per turn, so if you can get this and like avoid banishment, you can possibly get this off twice.
And the only criteria for that is if your opponent controls a monster from the extra deck.
And you do not. That is the only criteria.
There's a lot of decks where that's the case.
That is yeah. That's a very, very nice card. Next, Lair of Darkness. Obviously, it's a Lair Infernoid deck, so you gotta play it. Makes all monsters on the field dark, and allows you to tribute your opponent's card, and of course gives you tokens. I'm sure everyone knows what this does. So, because it's 4 cost, it really can't be negated getting rid of the monster, so you can kind of just get rid of the monster, and then they have to negate whatever effect it is. And since basically every Infernoid tributes for cost for one of its effects, very nice with Lair. Next, we play 2 Monster Gates. I used to run 3, I took out 1 because I didn't like seeing it sometimes. Getting it first and you don't have a monster to summon, or you don't have Lair, really feels bad, so I cut it down to 2. Still a very nice card though. Tribute a monster, can use it with Lair, summon a monster basically for free.
Flexing the ultra rare there as well.
Yeah, we want ultra rare. As well as getting a bunch of cards that you want in the graveyard and allowing you to summon, hopefully, Dekatron, or unfortunately, you might get Ahrima. Next, the 1 Reasoning. Everyone knows what Reasoning is. Just basically better Monster Gate sometimes. Play 1 Terraforming. Want to see Lair. Want to see it more? Put it in. And of course, the 1 for 1. You use this to get Dekatron. Dekatron's such a good card in this. I want to see him more. Get him out. If you want a 3rd Monster Gate, I would take out either the Terraforming or the 1 for 1. So finally for the traps, we play the Void Feast. So this is the other really good card. This is what this card does is you activate it by sending 1 other Void card from your hand or field to the graveyard. And then this allows you to summon up to 3 Infernoids from your deck as long as they equal level 8, ignoring their summoning conditions. This allows you to bring out 2 Dekatrons and a Sjette, which is the only reason we play Sjette, because he's actually really bad, but He's the only level 6, so you kind of need him to get out the 2 Decatrons, which are level 1. This card allows you, if you go first, and you open up a good hand that allows you to activate this, gives you 2 negates on field, either 2 monsters, 2 spells, a monster and a spell, plus a big beefy monster of 2400. You get that out with a Lair of Darkness, and your opponent has a lot of trouble doing anything.
That's what we call game.
Yeah. On to the extra deck. So here we have Infernoid Tierra. This is the monster you summon with Imagination. She's a 3400 attack monster with the effect that allows you... It has multiple effects depending on how many Infernoids you send. I'm not going to explain the whole thing. You're going to have to read it yourself and figure out what you want to do with it, because really only the first 2 effects go off since you're only sending usually 6. So the first one is you send the top 3 cards from each player's decks to the graveyard. This, honestly, while it sounds good for your deck, I'd honestly say is a negative, because while, yes, you do want cards in your graveyard, your opponent most likely does too, and it's probably better for them to get their cards in the graveyard than it is for you, since most decks have effects that activate when they hit the grave. You can't really negate those easily. The other effect, though, is to send 3 cards from the extra deck to the graveyard. And this is where the Elder Entity Ununcu come in. You send these bad boys to the graveyard to pop things on the field, because Elder Entity Ununcu has an effect when it's sent to the graveyard to destroy 1 card on the field. You never summon this card. I have never summoned this card. I don't even think it's possible to summon this card in this deck. It's literally just to send with Tierra to pop things on the field, which honestly is kind of insane, being able to pop 3 cards and have a 3400 beat stick on the field. The only problem, though, is that Tierra cannot be removed from the field easily. The only way to get rid of it easily is with Gravity Controller, which I do not currently have in this deck, but I do want in this deck. If you use Void Banishment, though, you can't even get rid of it with Gravity Controller, since you can only use Infernoid monsters. So be careful when summoning that. You might have to use an Ununcu to pop it yourself, which feels really bad, but sometimes it's necessary to get the OTK. Next, the one Crusadia Equimax. This might be a weird card to play in this deck, you might think, but it's actually super easy to get out, and very easy to OHKO with this deck. So I'm sure you guys know what this effect is. It gains attack to whatever it's pointing to, but this is the only card that can attack. The reason why it's so good in this deck is because you can summon this card out with a Link monster that we'll show you later on. Put 2 Infernoid monsters with 2400, 26, 2800 attack to its 2 things, give it about 7600 attack, attack with it, and then tribute it with one of the Infernoids, allowing you to attack with the other monsters. So you're basically attacking with 10,000 attack points with all the monsters, allowing you to get some very nasty OTKs.
Shout out to team member Aiden right there. The Crusadia card making an appearance.
Next we play the one Psy-frame Lord Omega. It's just a generic level 8 synchro that I use. Very good for this deck since it returns banished cards from the banish zone back to the grave, allowing you to potentially get him out very easily. The reason why I played is because Decatron is a tuner. So on my first turn, you can summon him out, drop something to get a level 8, depending on what else you have in your hand, summon it out, and now you have a free Omega, basically. So very nice for going first. Very nice if you have no other plays. Just a good card in general. Next, play Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. Again, just another very good card that is nice to have sometimes. Very good going first, just because it's hard to get rid of. Maybe not anymore. It's hard. I would honestly replace this with a couple other things. I was actually thinking about replacing him with the Math Mech Sigma, since he's also easy to summon with Decatron and easily a lot harder to get rid of. So I'd probably replace the Math Mech with this. But I play him as a way to get rid of, a way to just sit on the board when I'm going first, since it's kind of hard to go first with this deck if you don't open up Void Feast. Next, we play the Doolittle Chimeras, generic 2 fire-type monsters. Just nice to have 2 of them. I would also play Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablazed. Do not currently have it. I haven't. It's not that it's expensive or anything, just haven't gotten around to putting it in, but I would put it in. Next, the 3 Wee Witch Apprentices. When Lair Darkness is on the field, everything becomes dark, so this is very nice to get rid of. Tokens can go into this very easily. You can use Tierra to go into this if you have another monster in the field. Just ways to get rid of some of your Infernoids if they're too overleveled. Finally, play the one Ahrima. You need this if they ash your Decatron.
Yeah, Mirage.
Almirage, yes, sorry. I don't know why I said Ahrima. Almirage. If they ash your Decatron, or effect Valor the Decatron, or whatever to the Decatron is useless. It's a level 1 normal monster. I mean, obviously not normal monster, but it's basically a normal monster since you're not going to get off that effect ever again. So you kind of need to get rid of it, so this is one easy way. The other card that I'm going to put in here eventually is Relinquished Anima. Since Decatron's level 1, you can get into it with Anima. Very nice card. So I would replace probably some of the Wee Witches with it, maybe one of the Chimeras, if I get Fire Charmer Blazed. That is it, though, for the main deck profile. It has no draw support. One draw support, though, that I could see going into this is the new Pot of Prosperity. Seeing as how you don't need your extra deck too much, but if you don't want to play Extravagance, because if you get rid of all of your Infernoid Tiaras, Imagination becomes useless. So you kind of need to pick and choose, which is why Prosperity would be good for this deck. But it's a bit too expensive, so it's not in here.
Just gotta hope for that reprint.
Yeah. So on to the side deck, though. Just a lot of generic side decks, nothing too special. The 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. If you're going first, I like to play this card, seeing as how Imagination and Void Banishment is not going to be used first turn, or they are going to be used first turn immediately. I can either set them and then play this. Just a good card to play against like, a lot of decks right now. Sky Strikers, for instance, you know, just a bunch of decks that actually get hurt by this pretty hard, and it really doesn't affect your deck if you're going first. Next, I play Royal Decree. Honestly, the only reason that this is in here is for when Eldritch is running about. They're no longer that popular, so I honestly don't put this in too much, but there's a couple of decks that use a lot of traps now, so I just put it in here for traps. You only use the 1 trap, so once again, doesn't really hurt you at all. Next, play the 3 Twin Twisters. This is only for the field spell that I can't remember the name of. Mystic Mine. This is for Mystic Mine. It is a pain in the butt Mystic Mine. You have no outs to it if they play it, and you have, you know, all your monsters on the field. Luckily for Infernoids, since they contribute themselves, if someone plays a Mystic Mine, before the Mystic Mine resolves, you can kind of tribute all your monsters. But if you have a monster that's stuck on the field, like Tiara, like a token, you're kind of screwed, so you kind of need a way to get rid of some spells and traps. Only reason it's in here.
Absolutely.
Other than that, though, that is the deck.
That is indeed the deck profile, and like we said when we started here, this has been a deck that Bryan has piloted for a lot of years here and found a ton of success with. If I do say so myself, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that people really don't understand how crucial it is to be able to tribute problematic monsters for cost. I think that's a big reason why this deck is successful against the meta at all times.
Because for instance, if it not only is, first of all, Lair of Darkness is a great bait. I might have nothing in my hand for Lair of Darkness. Just playing Lair of Darkness is so scary, honestly, you have to get rid of it, because you have no idea what I have. If I happen to have a monster gate in hand, that's already a removal of one of your monsters that you can't negate. I just remove one of your monsters, and then I get to summon a monster. It's just crazy. It's just like with Pot of Desires. You still have to banish those 10 cards. I still have to tribute, even if you negate.
Absolutely. So, very good deck. Hopefully some of you guys test it out, try it out against the current meta as well. I think you'll find a lot of success for it. And if you need any help while you are doing so, leave a comment down below. Ask us. Bryan would be more than happy to guide you through and help you out. This guy is the Lair of Darkness Infernoid Master, so definitely do that. And other than that, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. We hope you really enjoyed this video on the Lair of Darkness Infernoid deck profile, and we'll catch you next time here on Team Memes Not Meta.